Now, the rest of the story.
Well, making hay it's probably being a little bit more hectic than it needs to be. We don't have a whole lot left to go. I actually ran out of net wrap last night on this farm, and we don't really have much. I'd say I could probably do it all in about 2.5 hours, but it's blue sky out, but it just doesn't really seem like the sun wants to do anything. So Ryan is out re-raking 6 acres that way, and all he's got is 3 waterways, like there, and there, and then we should be done with raking. I'm gonna go through with the 7600 and the 566 and put a low rate of preservative on everything to at least say we tried. And the last bill that I made last night is right there. No signs of squatting, no signs of heating. My intentions are, we're gonna let them air out. We'll haul them in, of course. We'll space them out so they can breathe, you know, like how we do down at the valley. And I'm gonna do some demolition at my place, which is part of the reason why we're not, you know. But that fence from the silo, I say this like you guys can really see it, from the silo down to behind the barn, I'm taking all that out because there's essentially nothing there as it is. Just gonna put some wire panels in for the time being, you know, short term, like 10-15 years, and then I'm gonna go through and stack at least the unwrapped stuff, the stuff that we're making right now, and I'm actually gonna stack everything above the barn there, because that'll actually give me a bunch more space to actually put bales in there, because the fence is going to be set back farther to the point where I'm hoping it's actually it will narrow up that lot, so when they're coming from this lower part of the barn, the cattle, and then up to the silo, it's more of a straight run versus this little leg that's in here on this side. They if you're trying to push them up to the pole shed, they get down in here and they swing wide on you, and I've seen it enough times where I'm done. So we got chain rolls for the corn planter that need to go on next week. The header cart has a low tire on it, so I brought the portable air tank with me, pumped this up, and pumped that back tire up. We're gonna address it once it's up at Rockville, but we don't really have anything to work on it down here. I mean, we need to get it up to the farm so we got to pick this up off the header cart so we can do the rolls. Ryan is going to be down here at the 4020. He's going to leave the New Holland rake down here so I can put it back in the shed, because I'm hopefully done with it, because we're tired of raking single rows, because we go down to the valley, it'll be all doubled up, right? I don't know, I'm a little salty when it comes to making hay right now. And I've instructed him to hook onto this bad boy and get it up to the farm, because harvest is getting closer and closer, and doing the chain rolls really wasn't on, we really weren't planning on doing it, but we're going to, because the math on it is doing the chain rolls versus the John Deere factory rolls. I believe they're on it right now. The chain rolls speed up the stalk decomposition. They break down quicker, and it takes it from 4 years down to 2 years if you're using the chain rolls, and then that unlocks almost $200 worth of potash that is locked up in that corn residue. And it seems how prices are up on everything. If we can release that potash back down into the soil so we can use it for future crops sooner than later, we can justify doing the chain rolls again, which I liked them. I liked them on the 6-row. I totally did. Why did we not go through and keep the chain rolls off of our other head and just put them on here? It's because they're different size. These rolls, I believe, are bigger than the rolls that were on the 6-row. And my buddy actually bought the 6-row and took the chain rolls off and put them on his 6-row. So, which I'm all for. I support the hustle, because I'm actually the one that was encouraging him to do it. He ended up stripping off the chain rolls. We had the wedge kit on it to flatten the, you know, because how the corn head sits like this going through the field. The wedge kit we put on actually levels it out, so it's not as steep of an angle. So then as the corn is being pulled down through the corn head, you run less of a risk of it falling ahead or falling out of the head, because that's the issue we were having before. And having a flat level head, as long as you can get away with it, I'm all for it, because every single ear that gets into this head means dollars in my checking account. And guys, I'm married, so every little dollar counts. And we do have the elephant ears or whatever, the ear savers on each end of this corn head. We didn't run them last year because we didn't really think we needed to. Probably don't need to at all, but they're there. I'm sure we're going to try using it at least a little bit. So I'm going to head back up to the farm and haul some hay and get that baler ready to go, because we're not going to bother bringing down 2 balers to bale. I'm going to say 25 bales total, because we ended up with 21 plus 35 plus 15 plus 17. So anybody that wants to do the math on that, feel free. That's what we've made so far off of this last cutting of hay. You guys have heard me talk about hay long enough as it is, but we get this stuff done, then we only got to focus on the valley. It won't be next week because they're calling for, I've heard that it's up to ½ an inch of rain this weekend, which isn't the end of the world. The ground is dry, it'll soak right up. Then the problem is they are calling for a bunch of days of rain after that. But the second after, once we get into next week, so it could be next weekend of next week. If the weather, when the weather clears up again, we're gonna make the valley. And I haven't been down there in a few days now, a week, but I'm sincerely hoping that this rain that we're supposed to be getting, on top of the heat, I mean it's 84 degrees out, that grass is at least gonna do that last little bit of stretching that we can go down and justify getting it cut and made. So on to more fun things. You guys are tuning in when most of the work is done. Ryan went out and he ended up raking a bunch, like this stuff, and finished up the last little bit of the waterways down at my place with the the New Holland and Rollabar. And wasn't gonna have him help me bale. I was actually gonna send him out after parts. And ultimately, he helped me finish that new seating strip last night, and he's probably over there. I say probably because I just talked to Britt, and she says that the 82 isn't back at the farm yet, which isn't a bad thing, because then I know where he's at, because I saw him leave down at my place. So either he's out there or he's at Rockville. I mean, if the tractor isn't at Rockville, it's a pretty good indicator I know where he's at. So this stuff's adding up to be a little bit more than what I thought it would be. I mean, oh, we got a roller. I'll quit. For being waterway hay, the stuff, it's only cut once, but the stuff actually really did add up, and it might not be top tier dairy quality stuff, but let's face it, all of my cattle guys out there that have had beef cattle, I think we've all fed our beef cows some sketchy stuff, and they'll go through and eat what they want out of it, and the rest you can push out into bedding. So it's wrapping up the last of Dad's stuff, and I gotta be honest with you, to a certain degree, I'm a little worried about getting the valley made, because this stuff, it just laid for forever, and 5 days of clouds certainly didn't help. That didn't keep the regrowth from coming back and growing up through it, which adds a different set of issues on top of it. But we get down in the valley, sunlight hitting that this time of year is pretty sparse. And if they start talking for rain like they are, which they could change it here in another week when you start looking that far out, but I'm really hoping that I can get that stuff made down there in a condition and quality that it's worth selling. Because you get there's easily another 100 bales down there, easily. And to be honest, with how some of this stuff is yielding for being waterway hay, I know it's first cut, but there's second cut stuff I'm making right now, and at 65-inch bales, I'm probably going to have 2 or 3 bales just off this little acre, maybe not quite an acre piece that I'm on right now. There's Ryan, so at least I know where he's at. That's good. You know, really underestimating having a second baler and how nice it is, because it just didn't make any sense. This is going to sound crazy, but it didn't make any sense to run 2 balers because there isn't that much. I had initially felt that I'll just go through and I'll just bale it with this and go. Well, the factor that I didn't consider in is I didn't get started till 3 o'clock. And Ryan, he didn't rake until 12:30. And I still figured that, you know, it won't take that much time. I'll be fine. Well, what ended up slowing me down is the waterways down at my place. I did some of them yesterday until I ran out of net wrap in the baler, and it wasn't worth going and getting a new roll of net wrap at 6:30 at night, because by the time I would have ran up, gotten it, ran back down, it would have started to get dark already. And I don't really, for what this stuff is, it's beef cow feed. It's not junk, but it wasn't worth to run back to the farm, get the wrap, run back down to my place and bale for a little bit of time I had available, because at the same time I was supposed to be home early last night, and then I wasn't home until after 8. So I'm still trying. I'm not trying to work super duper late, because I know those days are coming. It's just how it is, and I'm trying to get home at a decent time, and 7 o'clock doesn't exactly sound like a decent time to at least be able to see Brittany and Relina, because the little bit I see them in the morning there, and then seeing them for a couple hours at night, is going to seem like a tremendous amount of time when I get into this fall and I'm just pretty well just not going home. I mean, and I get the remarks of, you gotta learn to slow down and you gotta go home and spend. Yes, but at the same time, it's my livelihood. This isn't a 9 to 5, and what you put into this farming is what you get out of it. And if you want to go at it with just a casual attitude, well, you might have some years where you win, but then ultimately you're looking at a casual income from it at the end of the year. Fine. I like doing the field work. I mean, that's probably the easiest part of it. It's the rest of the management stuff is the stuff that can seem like if you miss a beat on managing everything, making a poor decision, then that can have an effect of thousands of several thousands of dollars. And honestly, making one of those statements is actually the management decision of buying a second baler affecting us of potentially several thousands of dollars worth of cash flow. Yeah, making first cut like we did. If I would have dropped into the valley 431 bales with just this baler, I'd have been so burnt. because maybe I would have gotten it all baled. But what was it? The first day Ryan made 280, I made 150. Then we were able to finish it on the second day. But 150 to 175 bales a day with this baler is a pretty long day. So having that other baler and making sure that I got all of that awesome feed I got baled up and stored inside was a definite moneymaker. And that's part of it too, where we were able to get all of the hay baled up to where we could actually had enough nice weather behind that yet where we could actually get it hauled in and then stacked inside without getting any rain on it. Any day or any crop that you can go through and get it all made up without any rain touching the bales whatsoever, it is, you mark that down as a pretty serious win, especially in southwest Wisconsin. Our weather has been a lot more, I'd say, normal, and by normal I mean we're getting the steady occasional rain, but yet we're still having the dry stretches that allows you to make hay for the most part. I mean, not so dry that it's stressing the row crops, because the row crops are made. I mean, I was talking to a local guy this morning, and I was talking about the rain chances we got coming up. I heard 4 inches for this weekend. I checked the weather. It says a half of an inch. Half an inch with how dry the ground is won't be an issue. 4 inches, I don't care how dry the ground is, that's a problem, especially on the low areas like the valley. And the row crops don't need it. Rain at this time of year, the only thing it's really going to help is it's going to get those pastures to keep growing for, it's going to buy you more time on your pastures, so it's that much longer you can go without having to feed your cattle, because it is pretty common this time of year. I mean, my buddy actually is already having to put feed out for his cows that are out on pasture. He says they got plenty of feed, it's just that they're standing at the gate bawling. And he says, well, a lot of that is I'm spoiling my cows. They're used to corn silage, and that's what they're begging for, or calling for. And Myrna, I know the whole goal was for me to have cattle around again so I could post videos of the baby calves and you guys can watch them grow. I just had 2 new calves this morning. I mean, I'm all for doing the baby calf videos, but not quite so much where I'm dragging it up throughout the rest of the year, because for those of you that are keeping score, I already had the bull in with my cows for over 2 months. So Rocky had plenty of time to get those cows bred. And that means that these cows that just calved have missed the window for being bred back for next year. So no calf, a late calf is better than no calf, but here's the problem with that statement. I ultimately made the decision of I'm not going to load those cows up and take them down and throw them in with the bull, because then all that does is just prolong my issue of I need them to all calve in the same window. Next year I'm going to have 2 bulls, 2 red bulls, to hopefully get those cows to calve in that much tighter of a window, so it's not just spread out between 1 bull. And then the tighter the window of my feeder calves, it'll make them a nicer, potentially a nicer group of feeders to sell when it's time to load them up and send them down the road. So the 2 late bull calves that I had, one of them was a little black heifer. I'm keeping her. So any of the heifers that I had this year, even though they're all black hided, I'm keeping them. And they'll be bred to a red bull regardless, which it's no big deal. But a lot of it is I gotta start putting the coals to my cow herd. and they are and will have to start paying for themselves in a quite serious way here, as in we're going to start sticking to schedules. Yeah, go see what Ryan needs for help. Yeah, sticking to my schedules and my timelines, and these late calves are my problem. They're my fault. I'm the one that let my cows in down with the bulls throughout fall last year. In my defense, they should have been bred last summer, but they weren't. I mean, that's what it is. So my intentions are the bull is going to be put in with my cows for this date to this date. Something smells warm, and Ryan looks like he's done. And that's the only time the bull is ever going to be in with my cows. So it's, well, he's about ready. Yep, he's done. Holy cow. This was a second cut pasture field. It was corn before this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. At least 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 bales, not bad. The partial I got in my baler is going back home. I'm going to dump it in for the cows. I don't know if we're wrapping this stuff or what the plan is. The goal is to go ahead and try to get all this stuff hauled in tomorrow. Here's the problem. I got a bunch of hay I got to make tomorrow yet, and then I'll be done up to this point in time. I don't know where he's going. I don't see any bales down in the woods, so we're good there. I love that baler. Oh, ooh, there might be one against the fence right there. I'd almost hate to bet. Sure looks like it. Oh well. What is he doing? That baler was so awesome. It was the right move. I mean, being able to make potentially 3 full cuttings down at the valley with a little bit more or less stress than what I would normally have if I just had this baler is huge. I mean, it's probably adding, well, it probably added a couple years to my life not having to stress about getting all that hay made in a short amount of time by myself. And that is a much more reliable baler. We're spreading out the workload between the 2 balers, as in once again today, even though I wasn't planning on it. And I'm hoping, my intentions are I won't have to do such a heavy maintenance program on just this baler now, that I could actually spread the workload between the 2 balers and actually maybe get 2 years before having to do heavy repairs and maintenance on either one of these balers. Bigger roller chains on that one for sure, but I mean, that baler I'm looking 2 or 3 years before I'll have to change the roller chains again. We'll see what the sprockets do. This baler I'm hoping I can get away until through next year yet, and then go through and change the roller chains out. I mean, the big thing is we've made well over 1,000 bales right now, easily actually, and then we still got to make 300 plus fodder bales this fall. I mean, we did 250 last year, and Ryan just told me today that that wasn't enough because he was short, and I think the goal is, at least for Ryan, he needs about 150. Dad down there, I'll probably need about 150 down there. Myself, I'll probably need 100. And then at that rate, if there's any fodder left out at Ryan's or down at my place for Ryan's and Dad's cattle, I can haul it back to Rockville and feed it to my cows, because I like having fresh bedding every year. I mean, if we wrap it, it's one thing, I'm gonna let you guys go. I want to give him a call and see what the heck's going on, because he's just sitting down there right now. So you're watching the rest of the story. Like, comment, and subscribe. I got baling, hauling, other stuff to do, and